Welcome to the Fit Affiliate Podcast, where with honesty and transparency, we talk about all things fitness, coaching, and gym ownership, so that you can feel less crazy and frustrated and alone, while you also find more freedom and make more money.
And welcome back to another episode of the Fit Affiliate Podcast. Today, apart from being joined by Dottie the dog, I am joined by Eric from CrossFit Takedown in California. How are you going, mate?
Hey, how are you today, Lisa?
Great. Really good to chat to you. Last time we talked, we were both doing the coach development course through Fit Affiliate with the wise guidance of Matt Loden.
that is a fact. He is a wise man.
Yeah, there was some good sessions that we did. Some really good learnings. I really enjoyed those 4 weeks. So when it was over, I was like, oh, I wish there was more now.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with myself watching Matt up on that whiteboard. Just do all the drawings. Guy's a fantastic instructor and teacher. But if anybody's ever spent time with Matt, I think they know that. And
he's just made it seem so easy going through that material. So super great reference. Absolutely. So today we just want to get to know you a little bit better and learn about your affiliate CrossFit Takedown and where you're taking it. So maybe you could give me a little bit of an backstory, I guess, into your journey into CrossFit. When did you find CrossFit? How did you find it?
Oh, wow. So I was introduced into the CrossFit space back in 2007.
Yep.
From a buddy of mine, a guy named Luke, who actually lived in the Santa Cruz area. And he obviously, found it sooner than me because he was living there and from there.
Yep.
And I was in the law enforcement military space, and so was he. And I think, like a lot of people in that space specifically at the time, where everybody was training and doing the things that we were doing, and we all kind of fell into it and found it was, where's this been and why we've been training the way we were before, when this is here. And once, found it and discovered it and learned about it, and started hanging around just the individuals that, were up there. We don't need to name names.
No, you can name names.
never turned back. And obviously it's evolved into what it is. Obviously a lot different back then, and where we are now is an incredible place, with the athletes and the affiliates, and lots changed. Some people might think it's better. Some people might think it's worse, but evolution's good. But that's how I got into it. And it sure kicked my butt, and it still does. But I can't imagine, honestly, my life without it. I really can't. And it's made and afforded me a lot of things within my careers that I had. Health and fitness wise for sure. And just the incredible people, just met along the way. Such smart folks and incredible athletes and just great humans. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's definitely, I know it's led me down paths that I never ever thought that I would get into, from, powerlifting world titles and strongman to, a whole heap of other experiences that I never ever thought were possible. Plus the friendships and the people, and like every box I've been a part of, you still have those connections and those people, and you have those bonds with them. So yeah, it's a pretty cool space to be, I think, and one of the most accepting spaces generally. Generally.
Yeah, no, it's so I already being in the military space for a long time, spent over 2 decades, but I feel like even being in that and everywhere I went and traveling around for different trainings and schools is always being able to find a box and being able to just walk in and this train. I can't even, just every state, everywhere. Especially back, in the late 2000s, and it just such a fun time. Just so many cool memories, and being able to train with different folks, and back in when regionals existed and all these things, and being able to train with different people and know them, and then see them later and being like, oh man, didn't you drop in this place? And like, oh yeah, dude, I remember you. and
Yeah.
just super cool to do that stuff, and very reminiscent
Nice.
of how you have like a military family, and you bounce around from states, and you have
Yep.
these connections, and you have this really cool connection with people, and you link up later, and you still
Yeah.
remember each other, because
It's
it was all about positivity when you met them the first time.
yeah, cool. And I remember like I started in 2011, but you used to see somebody in the airport wearing a pair of nanos or like a CrossFit shirt, and
Yeah.
you'd sort of have that little hey, a little nod, because you knew.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
now it's kind of everywhere. Everyone's got a Rogue shirt, but back then it was like you sort of saw their shoes or something. You're like, and my funniest, I was in an airport once, and I had my CrossFit hoodie on, and someone came up to me and asked me, was I going to the games? I'm like, oh, thank you for the compliment, but no.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, wow. And because it was that small, then everyone thought that anyone who did CrossFit was going to the games. It was pretty funny. But yeah, you'd sort of look at people and go, hey, like we do the same thing, like we know. And it was just a little
Yeah.
mutual respect.
Well,
Very
the
cool.
old, it's a cult. If you saw nanos, the old 2s or 3s, it was
Yes.
so rare.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, where do you train? And I mean,
yeah, and you just have a
9 out of
conversation,
10
an
times
instant bond. Yeah.
9 out of 10 times they were clearly at a box somewhere. Super rare would you just find someone that were like, oh, I don't know, I just like these shoes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, okay.
That's non-existent. So how long have you owned or how long has CrossFit Takedown been going? Are you the original owner, or did you open it? Or
I am. So
nice.
Started the whole thing in 2015. Like old school, out of the garage kind of deal, and it came to fruition. Obviously, being in a CrossFitter, and I had my L1 for some time. I was also a USAW back when it was called the Sports Performance Coach. I was a USAW Sports Performance Coach, and I had a bunch of other certs and things like that through the military space and the fitness side. And I got out active duty from the military and the branch that I was in, doing some other things, and I had the whole gym going on in the garage, and buddies were coming over and writing stuff for them and training them, and guys are still in that space and in the contracting space, and it evolved into then their spouses, and just more and more, and I wasn't really passionate about what I was doing, still connected to the military world.
Yep.
And I just, really loved instructing and coaching. And that's what I did the past several years before I got out active duty in the military. I was an instructor and a primary instructor with some different things. And it was one of those, everybody, why don't you do this? Why don't you, it just got kind of crazy out of the house, and it just wasn't sustainable. And it was let's do it or let's not. And so we, found a spot and just pulled the trigger, and we started the gym with like 12 people, and took a loan out and moved it from the garage space to the bigger space, and a hope and a prayer. And
that's how we all did it, I think.
Became. Yeah. That's, obviously anybody that does it, it's, I think very few places, have this wealth kind of behind them, or, these people that are just willing to throw money at it. It's just like, well, there we go.
Here we go.
I think that's what's so beautiful about the affiliate, model, and Coach Glassman's original model is, do it. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And you really can't blame anybody,
Yeah. I mean, I know when
your own effort and work,
I bought the affiliate that I was working in, and I'd always wanted an affiliate, but I could never see a way that I would be able to afford that sustainably. And then the owner, she just checked out, and she wanted out and offered me this ridiculously, insanely low price that was achievable. And it's like, okay, well, let's just make this happen. And, worst case scenario, it's an amount that if I had a paying job that I could pay off really easily if the gym fell over. And it's like, well, let's just do it, and just jumped in. And then every day just tried to, how do I not, screw this up today? Like, how do I make it better today? And it's kind of get in, and you just paddle like hell, and we started small as well and then just expanded as we could. So, because I'd always kept that Glassman quote in my head, train until you're shoulder to shoulder, then find somewhere bigger and stay there till you're shoulder to shoulder. And then, you don't need to open with a super gym, to start with.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of good bonds that are forged in that natural organic growth rather than, hey, we want 400 members to open with or whatever. You've got the people who are, fought through those, knew the experiences of sharing a barbell or, sharing a skipping rope or alternating things in a workout, like to then when they get, the luxury of having their own and stuff, they appreciate that evolution and there's, bonds and friendships that are formed over that rather than just having everything laid on.
Yeah, no, it's obviously nice once you get, bigger and you're able to have individual things, but there's definitely a part of specifically, this culture and methodology where, you could take, you take an original WOD and you're like, okay, well, how do we turn this into a partner workout?
Yeah.
How do we need to, we're going to try to stick with the stimulus and we need to make it to where this needs to work. And I think that's a lot of fun, and develops a lot of different, builds the culture and what it's been created into, and
for sure,
having to learn how to waterfall things and build things into stuff for
helps,
change up movements and
and
helps really try to stick with how it's developed.
Your development as a coach, as well as learning how to be creative with things and understanding that the way that this flow is written is not necessarily going to work for me, but how do I make it work as close to that and still give the members a good experience? Like fitness is going to be achieved. If we take one of my favorite to break down was Fight Gone Bad. Doesn't matter which movement you start on, fitness is still going to be achieved, but it might suck a little bit differently depending on where you start. But you can cascade people through that, and fitness is going to be achieved, and they're still going to have a great time. And you make it work, and you go, okay, here's my space, here's my gear, and how do I make this work today? So yeah. I mean, we all have the ideal, but that's life. Nothing ever runs to an ideal image in life, does it? At all.
No.
So
that's part of it too, right? Is that adapt and shift and resiliency. It's just as much as a part of CrossFit as the health markers and and improving obviously PRs and strength. So it's just as much mental. And anybody that's been in the space for any time is well aware of how that concept works and how programming is developed and what we are also trying to achieve on the psychological side as well as the physiological
absolutely
side. So.
And it's about having that, having for me, it was having the members understand that, it doesn't really matter what your score is. You've come in, you've moved, fitness is still achieved. You're not, if you decide not to go for a max today, that's okay. If you do sets of 5, you're still getting stronger, and we're here for the long game, not for, the games, and building that, that they're gaining in a heap of other ways. So with CrossFit Takedown, like you've been going for about 7 odd years now, what sort of, what's your vision do you have for Takedown? What do you want it to be, and how are you tracking along to that?
The goal, obviously to be a sustainable affiliate and be able to survive the ups and downs. Growth is always good. We have room to grow. I think a space that I would like to improve on is really making more of an impact in the adaptive athlete field, and being able to kind of make some more effects there.
Cool.
We do really well with having a wide breadth of age. We're I'd say probably an older gym, and I don't mean in regards to like 50s and older. I mean, we have quite a few people in the 50s and 60s.
Yep.
But we have, plenty of, youth athletes. And then, so it's not all just, folks in their 20s and early 30s. It's tons of, 40-year-olds and late 30s and 50-year-olds. And so the really important, at least for me and the staff, to really make sure that we have a really wide range and we're using, CrossFit for what the purpose is, right? That longevity and letting people know when they come in or they come walking in and they have these questions, this is the point. Right.
Yep.
And it's about, running into your 50s and 60s. And it's about, these things that's destroying those age markers. Right. And these old beliefs of what it's supposed to be as we age.
Yeah. And it's also, helping people understand that, we want them to be functional well into old age and, not be in care if they don't need to be just because they can't get themselves up off the floor. We want them to be able to do that. Yeah. And that's really that's cool. And I think that CrossFit in general has, the market, not CrossFit as in the brand, has evolved a little bit into that just because someone said once, basically all the fit people are already either doing CrossFit or have done it. And to grow, you need to be able to connect with the people who need it most. And they're the ones who are usually too scared to walk in the door. And that's where the future sort of lies. All the early adopters are, staying or have moved on to something else. But it's about this next generation who really need our help, that might be a little too scared to come in and making that an easier path.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's, I'd say that's the biggest feature with us, which is probably most affiliates is how do we continue to get the right word into the right people's hands and their ears and, continuing to find ways to do that. And, I know those discussions have gone on with the headquarters and obviously with, Dave back and the goals with, his role. And, I was super privileged to be able to be a part of his, one of his first talks back.
Awesome.
And sitting down with him. And it was great to hear those things and the efforts that hopefully will be put into that. And, ways to get that back out. And it's not just about, the sports side, which is a huge part of it and it needs to exist and has to exist. But how do we, even on the localized level, at least for, the gyms, is how do we get this info into the hands of the people that need the info? Everybody knows it's there. The super fit folks know it exists. It's the adaptive people. You can do this. Folks with injuries, you can do this. The older, folks, you can do this. Even former athletes. I get tons of that, and I know there's probably some folks listening that are affiliate owners where you have people walk in there. Well, I have this injury and I used to do this. It's like super. Well, we can work around this and we can find new markers and we can find these new things. And, we have all this stuff and we understand. And as coaches and trainers, we can get you there, you don't just hide from it. You know what I mean? And the way that we train and the methodology where we do things are completely open and able to allow you to get back into a lifestyle where you can do the things that you used to do. And I just think a lot of people don't understand that because, they just see that one side of it because that's what's really pushed and televised, and it's not by anyone's fault. That's what you see on the Sports Center, right? As you see the games, and that's great. And then you go, well, I can't do that. I'm like, well, I don't really want you to do that.
Yeah.
That's not what we want you to do.
Not today.
We're going to do. Not today. We got to get there, and that's okay. But that's, definitely a big thing, the adaptive side. And, just increasing awareness, I think, in general. I've always wanted to get more involvement with the youth in our area. And I don't necessarily mean creating like youth classes or things like that. It's been really difficult in our area because there's so many sports and very emphasized, and it's just like clockwork and competitively. And I haven't redone it in a while because of COVID stuff and all of those things, and rehabbing the time to step into the arena. But with our local schools and, getting, the health staff and, say physical education staff and, trying to get them to incorporate some of what we're doing into their programs. My children are adults. Now they're well, at least out of high school, should I say, not necessarily functioning adults.
I don't know. Any of us could truly claim that title, can we?
yeah. I'm still
adults.
not a functioning adult in my mid 40s.
Yeah.
And this, they have, some great physical education teachers, and then they have others that are just kind of running through the motions, or they're coming up with whatever. And I have, several teachers that are members at the gym, and actually a couple that are physical education teachers, and talk about it all the time. How do we make it better? And,
awesome.
Obviously there's politics within the school districts and things, but trying to get us in there and teach things that, very basic things that they can incorporate and use. And that would be super cool. And I know some folks that have really done it successfully. Areas that they have their gyms and their school districts have been more receptive. We weren't received very well last time we tried. But that's been a while. I'd love to see that, future role and being a part of that. And that's not necessarily a look what we did. It's a total side, quite professional kind of thing. Like we were in the shadows, but we had a part, and that pushed not only, what CrossFit does and the methodology, but obviously, as a community, having an effect, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, clearly, the journey of an affiliate owner is never a straight line. It's filled with ups and downs and twists and turns and backwards and forwards and lots of things. But over the time that you've had Takedown, what do you think one of your biggest achievements, biggest wins is in that space that you can, reflect on and go, yeah, look, that was something that, I'm really proud that we did?
Shoot. Other than still standing.
Yeah, well,
still being around. That's a big achievement, right?
Since 2020, that is a massive tick for sure to still be around.
Yeah. We're pretty involved in the military recruitment stuff and training up folks and on the fire recruitment side and academy training and law enforcement side. It's a lot of our history and our background, and really prepping those candidates and making sure they're successful. And being able to get through, their individual paths, and to see them be successful. And we literally have 100% passing rate.
Boom. Well done.
They come through us and train with us for an amount of time. And that to have them come back, and then or even just to, even if they don't come back to train because they're, they've moved for an agency or whatever, but that is just, been such a great thing that I, don't want to go away. And we make sure that we continue to ensure that people know that we're there for them. And, and also just the importance of continued health, not just in life and for any member. It doesn't matter if you're in, a first responder or anything like that, but just to see you're even candidates that have come in and they're just so far from, physically being in a place where they could, and they want it so bad, and saying, hey, this is going to take a lot. And if you're willing to do it, we can get you there. And watching them, over a course of a year, just grind and work with us, and we work with them, and they do it. And then they achieve this thing. And that is every time that happens, it's just, oh, man, that was awesome. But I think it's, that's with everybody, just being able to see any member, just, the light bulb come on, or just their happiness or understanding within the process is
Yeah. Or the first time that they do something
into it
that they never thought they could do, and you see their little face light up. But I think helping like in that, in the, I guess, recruitment space or recruitment preparation for those first responders is really important and powerful, because those people then go on to serve the community and in a meaningful way, putting themselves very much second, but having more quality people in those areas can only help the community as well, to whatever their line that they go into. It's a call to service, and to play a part in that is something really cool. So well done in that space, mate, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's important. For me, I served in that space for a while as well. And to still be able to give back to it, even though, not being in it is a big deal. And, we talk about community a lot within CrossFit, and CrossFit has a lot of ties to that community, but to still be able to see, active participation in stuff that you're doing every day, for it, and know you're having a hand in it every day. And not that, cool. It's any more important than anyone that isn't, right? That doesn't make you better if you are or not in it, but it's just in general, not stepping away from assisting in that space is very important.
Yeah, that's really super cool. So, talking about the journey of the affiliate owner being a little bit, like a roller coaster back and forth, do you have an experience that you would describe as, it at the time may have been a failure, but it's kind of set you up later for success? So almost like a favorite failure, like, yeah, this felt really crap at the time, but then, I learned and grew and led to this, led to something, powerful and successful through that process.
Yeah, I think I'm sure that every, especially, owner of anything, especially affiliate owner, at least for me, I didn't come from, a business background. I spent, at that time that I started the affiliate, a decade and a half of just being in the military and then law enforcement, and, having an understanding of instructing and training and coaching and, people stuff. But I had no idea, what I was doing, and, had been told, there's all this and that. I'm like, I got this. And I reached out to folks, and I had some, great peers, and it was more, you can do this and you can do that. And you'll be fine. Reach out if you need me. And, just all the failures in that were obviously at the time, just, we're not going to make it, or, I just have no idea what I'm doing. And I think a lot of my biggest failure, which took years to realize, and it's really hard, I think, for someone, especially me and my personality, is I listened to a lot of people instead of staying true to myself. And I don't know, whatever, just folks that you think are they have your back, or they have your best interest in mind, and they don't. But when you open a space like we do, and the people that we are, is we want to help folks, so we open our arms, right? And we trust, and it's, we're great, we got you. And that's not always the intention of the people that we let into our lives, and the people that we let into our space. And that, that just is, and you learn that the hard way. Sometimes you learn it the hard way over and over and over again. And as long as you hopefully stick with it, and you let it continually be a lesson, you evolve from those lessons, you find good stuff. And those have been hard lessons, just, okay, well, we're not going to do that, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. And at the same time too, it shows you the things that are better than others, and and letting go of certain things that maybe you need to let go of. So definitely I don't know if that directly is a specific thing, but
no, but it's a like an ongoing thing. And Like I know exactly the same. And the challenge I found in that is when you have those difficult and hard experiences, particularly with people, is not letting it change who you are. Like, I would do a lot of stuff for people and right, that's it. I'm not doing anything. I'm not helping anybody anymore. It's just, here's how it's going to be. But that's not who I am as a person. And I couldn't do that. Like I would feel like I was not being true to my values. And it's really hard to find that balance of being in alignment with your values, but helping, but also protecting yourself from, getting burned. And you're right. You learn that lesson over and over and over again. And then eventually you kind of get it. So it's not quite as bad the next time, but there's always, something. And I mean, it is very common with affiliate owners. We open a gym because we want to help people, not because we want to run a business. And there's a lot of people out there ready to give you a quick fix, cookie cutter solution that say, hey, do this way and it'll work for you. It's like, well, that's not my kind of people. And that's not how we work here. And particularly in Australia, a lot of our advice is coming, from stateside, and like Australians are a little bit different in that regard. And, particularly when you talk about generic, marketing, and people can just see straight through it. And you kind of think, oh, this is good advice. And then you're like, no, this is, and turns out what we need is coaching, not actually advice, which is, how I came across Fit Affiliate is, I was reading their content and I was like, okay, I feel like you've been looking over my shoulder today to write this post and, reach out. And it's not like, here's how to have the world's best affiliates. What do you want your affiliate to be? What do you want to be? And that's where I like is the difference in not telling. Whereas, you can pay a lot of money to have a lot of people tell you things, but doesn't necessarily it's going to work for you because they've taken your money and they don't really care about the outcome.
Yeah.
So it can be tough. So let's look big picture, I guess, because of your experience and you recently, and you said earlier how you'd been to one of Dave's first, community meetings, I guess we'll call them, back, which I like sitting over here on the other side of the world. I was like, man, I wish I could be part of that. That would be, I was super stoked to see Dave brought back into the fold. Sitting back and what do you think the biggest challenge is at the moment for the CrossFit affiliate landscape as a whole?
It's I think getting the right representation, for us, some dialogue that the group that I got to be with, which was some amazing folks that have been around a long time, a lot longer than I have in regards to owning an affiliate, is just the right things being done at the right levels.
Yeah.
And I think we all know that, and so much stuff that is, being done, and the amount of money that's being spent on the sports side, which the sports side has to exist. I mean, that's just as it is, and it needs to be done. But there's a lot of things that can be done, and a lot of assets that can be directed more towards the affiliate side, and ensuring that the support's there, and not just, hey, if you have a question, reach out. I know we just added a bunch of more reps, and if you need this, reach out, and that's fantastic. And those reps are, I know a few of them, and they're super OG, and they're amazing folks and amazing athletes. But not just the, hey, if you have a question, reach out, or hey, if you need something from HQ, we'll answer it for you. But what legitimately is being done in the space, to push the info out, because I remember, years ago, there was a lot of things, and in making sure that we feel good and we feel supported, and we feel, the affiliates matter, because the sport can be as big as it wants, but if we're not funneling, folks into that arena, and we're not, increasing the sport from our end, then it's just people watching it on TV.
Yeah.
You know, the affiliates have to exist, and great coaches have to exist, you know, and the support for that has to exist.
Yeah, fantastic.
And
so
it's there.
Yep.
So
you felt after that meeting that you felt like that was all going to be now, I guess, retracking back in the right direction?
I definitely felt a lot more motivated and reassured, you know, mostly, you know, I mean, I know who a lot of the folks that are up there, you know, and then Dave, you know, he doesn't beat around the bush, and he says what he means, and he means what he says. And, you know, I know that he's not going to, especially being brought back, and he didn't come back to sit around and, you know, and to not be an active participant, you know, in the crew. You know, he's a very active guy in regards to what needs to happen, and he's going to make sure that happen. And I know a lot of people fought for him to come back, and he's going to make sure that those things go down. And
fantastic.
He wants just as much success as we want success. You know, he's not there to not be a part of that. And there's everybody, you know, up there wants there to be some good things that happen. And there's a lot of great, you know, fantastic people in the affiliate space, you know, that want these things to happen. You know, I've, you know, a lot of good buddies and that are in the affiliate space that are just relentless. You know, a lot more vocal than I am. And they know a lot of stuff. And I know that it'll happen, and hopefully that combo, you know, will just push things where they need to go. As long as we just keep going, you know, if we get silent and we give up, then
it gets
that's
hard.
Not the way it's going to work. And I know that will never happen. So
we're a noisy bunch, us affiliate owners. When there's things we like and don't like, we're very vocal either way. And sometimes
we let everybody know, that is for sure. Sometimes in the wrong ways.
Agreed, totally. But you know, we definitely have a voice, and we're good at, you know, rallying the troops, and it's funny. I know that some companies have used that to their advantage, because if they wanted free promotion, it was, well, attack CrossFit, because then they'll share your content everywhere and say, look at this is ridiculous, this is stupid.
This is insane.
Suddenly their posts have gone viral because we've all shared it, because we're all going, this is ridiculous. They shouldn't be able to do this. And it was like, thank you, you've given us exactly what we wanted. And, you know, the CrossFitters will rally to protect. And if something seems unjust, and you just watch the community surge, and then it's a truly potent power when we get it right and do it the right way, for sure. And get all the ducks lined up. So just before we wrap, Eric, because I've loved chatting to you today, is I ask every guest, what's your favorite go-to book that either you recommend, or your, you know, something that you keep being drawn back to in your journey? And it doesn't have to be a business book. It can be anything that you feel has resonated with you, that if, you know, you would pass on to somebody with some, you know, feel goods.
It's not just like a business book, or even like it's sort of a book, but it's a military book, and it's called The Mission, the Men and Me. And it was introduced to me a long time ago, actually, when it was written. And it's just, it's a lot of military stuff, but it's a leadership book. And at the end of the day, and it's in regards to just prioritizing and what those things mean, and, you know, putting yourself as a leader, and where you sit as a leader. The gentleman that wrote it was very well respected, and very, I guess, for those non-military folks, high up in the special operations side of the military. Fantastic book. I go back to it all the time and reread it. And I always learn something new, or something I forgot, and go, oh, okay, put me back in check. So fantastic one. If anybody's in that space or enjoys those kind of reads, Mission, the Men and Me.
That definitely sounds very cool. And that's what we've kind of find ourselves thrust into, I guess, in being the affiliate owner, head coach space, is that people are looking to you to be that leader, whether it's your team, the community, you know, your tribe. People are looking to us to lead the way. And sometimes that can be a challenge if you haven't been exposed to that sort of thing before, to know how to be the best leader, I guess, that you can be, and understanding that concept of, you know, that the leaders are in there, you know, pulling the boat along, not just, you know, standing at the back and pushing everyone to work harder. So big lessons.
Yeah, fact.
Useful ones. All right, sir. Thank you very much for your time today. I've really enjoyed our chat, and look forward to seeing how CrossFit Takedown continues to grow and progress. And as I said before the call, we'll catch up and have another chat down the track and see how you're rocking along. But well done on what you've achieved so far, and thanks for your time today. I've really appreciated it, mate.
Yeah, no worries, Lisa. Appreciate it. Always good talking to you.
Always good.
Thanks for listening to the FitFiliate podcast. If this was helpful to you and you would like to jump on a 1-hour call to solve one problem for free, click the link.